Okay, so you've been sending in a bunch of stuff on semen retention, wanting to know if it's legit or just total BS. And honestly, I'm right there with you. We've got articles on this from like every corner of the internet, like Hims, Healthline, even a Sod Guru video got thrown in the mix.
Yeah, no kidding. It's everywhere these days.
It is. So we're diving deep into all of it.
Absolutely.
To see what's up.
Let's do it.
Okay, so right off the bat, what's got you most curious about all these semen retention claims?
Well, I gotta say, some of the claims are pretty wild.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like people saying it'll boost your testosterone, make your workouts insane, even deepen your voice. It's a lot.
And the thing is, right, this isn't some new fad.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
traditions like Ayurveda, Taoism, Tantra,
Oh, yeah.
they've been around for ages.
Centuries, yeah.
Like, they've been saying this stuff for centuries. So clearly there's something there, right?
Yeah, and they all kind of view semen as this vital life force, like something to be conserved and used wisely, like Ayurveda, for example.
Okay.
They believe that if you conserve semen, it makes you physically stronger, but also mentally sharper, too.
Really?
Yeah, and it's not just them. Taoism, it's all about balance.
Right.
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 So they practice this thing called Quanjing Bunao, which basically means circulating sexual energy throughout the body instead of just letting it go.
Like redirecting it or something.
Exactly. Repurposing that energy.
Instead of what? Just like...
Instead of just like a quick burst and then it's gone, yeah. And then you've got Tantra,
Okay.
which sees sexual energy as this path to like a deeper connection with a partner. Right.
Okay.
So they practice Maithuna.
What is that?
It's basically a way of having sex where the focus is on controlling and transforming that energy together.
Interesting.
Instead of just trying to, get to the finish line.
Okay, so we've got all this ancient wisdom, but let's be real. A lot of the buzz these days is about the modern stuff, like increased energy, better focus, even that deep voice thing.
Yeah, like some people really believe that.
Some of it's pretty out there.
Yeah, some of it's pretty wild. Gave you that.
But that's where things get really interesting, right?
Exactly.
Because are those claims actually true?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, isn't it?
It is. So let's unpack it.
Okay.
What does the research actually say?
Okay. So the truth is, there's not a ton of hard science to back up a lot of these claims. Like take testosterone, for example.
Okay.
There have been a few small studies, tiny studies really, that showed a temporary bump in testosterone after a few days of abstinence. But nothing crazy.
Oh, okay.
Nothing long-term.
So not like superhuman strength or anything?
Not quite, no. And when you look at sperm quality, it gets even more complicated.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like one study will say less than a day of abstinence is best for your swimmers.
Okay.
And then another one says daily ejaculation is totally fine.
Wait, so one says less than a day is best and another says do it every day.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
That's so confusing. What's a guy got to do?
Right. It's like pick a lane science.
Seriously. So how do we make sense of all this conflicting info?
Well, that's the thing. We have to be critical of what we read online.
Okay.
Just because some guy on Reddit claims that semen retention cleared up his acne doesn't make it true.
Right. Right.
Right.
True. But what about all those personal stories? People saying it changed their lives.
Yeah.
They can't all be wrong, can they?
Well, you've got to consider the placebo effect.
True.
Like, if you really believe something works, your body might just respond accordingly.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
And, there's also the fact that just being more mindful about your sexuality in general.
Okay.
And maybe reducing any performance anxiety, that can actually make a big difference in your experience, too.
Yeah, like if you're less worried about things going wrong, you can actually just relax and enjoy it more.
Exactly, yeah. It's all connected. And some people who are into semen retention, they talk about these techniques that might actually have real physical effects.
Okay, like what?
Have you ever heard of edging?
Edging? Yeah, I've heard guys in the locker room mention it.
Yeah.
But I never really knew what it was all about.
So basically you get really close to the edge, if you will.
Okay.
And then back off, let things calm down a bit, and then start again.
Okay.
So it's all about control, right?
Sounds intense.
It can be, yeah.
Does it actually work, though?
Well, the research is pretty limited.
Okay.
But some people find that it helps make their orgasms stronger.
Huh.
Or even helps if they have trouble with,
premature ejaculation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting. So it's not about, giving up sex completely.
No, not at all. It's more about, really understanding how your body responds.
Okay.
Learning to, fine-tune things.
Okay, got it. Now, one thing we see a lot with this whole semen retention thing is this NoFap movement.
Yeah.
And those guys seem pretty serious about it.
They do, yeah. It's important to remember, though, that they're not exactly the same thing.
What do you mean?
Well, semen retention can be part of NoFap.
Yeah.
But it's not the main goal, right?
Okay.
For them, it's about overcoming addiction.
Like a porn addiction.
Often, yeah. And taking back control of those urges.
So for some people, holding back on semen is like part of a bigger thing.
Exactly. It's about more than just the physical act. It's about self-control, discipline.
Right.
But for some people, that pressure can backfire.
Really?
Oh, yeah. If it becomes like this obsession, it can lead to anxiety, guilt,
Wow. So it can actually make things worse.
It can, yeah. It's like anything else. Too much of anything can throw you out of whack.
All right. It's all about balance.
Exactly.
Speaking of balance,
Yeah.
we've talked about the physical stuff, the mental side of things,
Mm-hmm.
but some of the stuff you sent, especially that Sadhguru video,
Oh, yeah.
he was talking about like a spiritual side to semen retention.
Yeah, and that's really interesting.
So what's that all about?
Well, a lot of these ancient traditions believe that when you conserve semen,
Yeah.
you're not just saving energy, but redirecting this powerful life force towards
Wow.
creativity, spirituality, even personal growth.
So it's like that energy, instead of releasing it,
Yeah.
you can like use it for other stuff.
That's the idea.
Huh. Interesting. But is there any science to back that up?
Well, life force isn't exactly something we can measure in a lab.
Right.
But it's definitely interesting to think about
Yep.
how our mental and emotional states, even our sex lives,
Yeah.
affect our overall well-being.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like, think about it. When you're feeling sexually frustrated
Yeah.
or just drained,
Right.
it's harder to focus, to be creative, even just to feel energized.
That's true.
So there's definitely a connection there.
Yeah, for sure. But do you think there's something special about semen?
Like compared to other, bodily fluids.
Yeah, okay.
Well, biologically speaking,
Uh-huh.
semen is pretty potent stuff.
Okay.
I mean, it's got nutrients, hormones, even neurochemicals.
Huh.
It's meant to nourish and transport sperm. So it makes sense it would have a powerful makeup.
So we're not talking about magic here.
No magic.
Biology.
Just straight up biology.
Yeah.
But even if we can't definitively say there's this, like, special energy there,
Right.
the act of choosing how and when to release it, that can be empowering in itself.
Okay, I see what you mean.
It's about taking control
Instead of just like...
instead of just going with the flow, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I can see how that could be really empowering.
Yeah.
Especially like with how much we're told to just like want everything instantly these days.
It's about self-awareness,
Yeah.
Discipline, really understanding your own body and your mind.
And those are good things no matter what, right?
Exactly. It's bigger than just semen retention.
So where does this all leave us? We've got all this ancient wisdom,
Yeah.
modern claims, but the science is still kind of iffy.
Mm-hmm.
What's the takeaway for someone listening who's like, maybe I should try this?
I think the most important thing to remember is that it's really personal.
Okay.
There's no proof that it'll hurt you,
Right.
but there's also no guarantee that you'll get all these amazing benefits either.
So it's really about figuring out what works for you.
Exactly. It's an experiment.
Hmm.
And like any good experiment, you got to pay attention
Uh-huh.
how you feel physically, mentally, emotionally.
Don't just listen to the hype.
Exactly. Listen to your body, not just the internet.
Right.
And don't be afraid to change things up if something's not working.
So it's all about finding what feels good for you.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And one more thing. If you're struggling with anything related to your sexual health at all, like, I don't know, maybe premature ejaculation or low libido,
Yeah.
even just performance anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
don't hesitate to talk to a doctor. Okay.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There are treatments and therapies that can really help.
Absolutely. Don't just suffer in silence.
Exactly. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Now, one interesting thing from that HIMSS article you sent,
Yeah.
they mentioned this study that found sperm quality actually goes down after more than 2 days of abstinence.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, so much for that whole more is better thing.
Seriously. But hey, at least those blue balls that guys complain about sometimes,
Yeah.
that's not actually dangerous, right?
You're talking about epididymal hypertension.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's a mouthful. And no, it's not dangerous. It might be uncomfortable,
Okay.
but it's not going to hurt you.
Okay, good to know. So we busted that myth at least.
One down, many more to go.
Because seriously, it seems like there's a lot we still don't know about this whole semen retention thing.
It's true. For me, what's most interesting about all this is this idea of energy.
Okay.
And not just like physical energy, but mental and creative energy too.
Right.
Like, what if semen retention does have benefits beyond the physical?
Okay.
What if it's about where we focus our energy when it's not,
Yeah.
going towards sex? Like, what if we could use that energy differently?
Ooh, that's a good question. Like that saying, energy flows where attention goes.
Right, exactly.
If we're constantly thinking about sex, are we missing out on other things?
That's a great question.
It is, right. And speaking of which, that reminds me of that blog post you sent by
Yes.
Brandon Bennett.
Oh, yeah.
He was saying that semen retention helped him be more creative and focused. He even quoted, what was it, Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill
Gave us
about...
sexual transmutation.
Yes, that's it, sexual transmutation. So what's that all about?
Basically, it's this idea that we can, like, consciously take that sexual energy
Right.
and use it for something else.
Instead of it just go to waste, basically.
Exactly, like creative projects, spiritual growth, even just being more focused in your everyday life, you know?
So instead of just like letting it fizzle out,
Yeah,
you can channel it into something else.
exactly.
Huh. Wild. But does that actually work? Like, is there any proof?
It's tough to say for sure. I mean, there's not a ton of research on this specifically,
Right.
but it's a really intriguing idea. It is. Bennett's blog post even mentioned a few big names who supposedly did this.
Oh, yeah. Like who?
Like Nikola Tesla,
No kidding.
Steve Jobs, Einstein, all those guys, apparently.
Makes you wonder.
It does. So, I don't know about you, but after all this, I've got more questions than answers.
Right. It's a lot to process.
It is, but if we had to sum it all up, what would you say is the main takeaway?
I think the biggest thing is just being aware
Aware.
your own energy. Whether or not you try semen retention, just paying attention to that part of yourself.
Okay.
How it affects you, how you use it. That can be really powerful,
So it's about being in control, not just on autopilot.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about knowing yourself and making choices that are good for you.
And that looks different for everyone, right?
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all answer here.
This has been, wow, an eye-opening deep dive, to say the least.
It has.
Thanks for breaking it all down with me.
Anytime. This stuff is fascinating.
It is. And to everyone listening, we hope this has given you some things to think about.
Yeah. Go explore. See what works for you.
Exactly. And remember, you're in charge of your own journey.
Absolutely. And be kind to yourself, okay? There's no right or wrong answer here.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring and keep diving deep.